The moment you stop chasing a narcissist, something terrifying happens. Not to you, but to them. And understanding exactly what that is will change everything you thought you knew about why you kept running. Right now, before we go any deeper into this, if you have ever felt confused, exhausted, or emotionally hollowed out by someone who seemed to need your attention like oxygen, but treated you like a burden, this channel is where your clarity begins. Subscribe right now. Hit that button because what you are about to understand will not just explain the past, it will liberate you from repeating it. Subscribe because every video here is a step toward the version of yourself that no longer gets lost in someone else's psychological hunger. Now let us go in. There is a dynamic that plays out in millions of relationships every single day, and most people inside it do not have the language to name what is happening to them. They only feel it. They feel the pull, the inexplicable need to keep reaching out, to keep trying, to keep proving their worth to someone who moves the finish line every single time they get close. And the more they chase, the more distant the other person becomes. But the moment they stop, something shifts. The person who was cold becomes warm. The person who was unavailable suddenly appears. The person who ignored their messages now cannot stop sending them. And the person who was chasing stands there, confused, wondering if they imagined everything, wondering if this sudden softness means something has changed. It does not, and you need to understand why. Not just emotionally, but psychologically, structurally, and with the kind of clarity that does not dissolve the next time they come back. Narcissistic personality structure, at its clinical core, is built on a fundamental deficit. Not a deficit of love in the way people casually describe it, but a deficit of what psychologists call object constancy. This is the internal capacity to hold a stable, positive sense of self that does not depend on constant external input. A person with a healthy psychological structure can sit alone, receive no praise, no admiration, and still feel fundamentally intact. Their sense of self does not require constant feeding. But for someone with narcissistic personality organization, this internal stability does not function the same way. Their sense of self is not self-sustaining. It is other-sustained. It requires a continuous, emotionally engaged human being who reflects back to them their perceived significance, power, or superiority. This is what psychologists call narcissistic supply. And it is not a metaphor. It functions in the brain with a dependency that mirrors the neurological structure of addiction. When you chase a narcissist, when you reach out first, when you explain yourself repeatedly, when you try to earn their approval, you are providing that supply. Every attempt you make confirms to them that they matter, that they have power, that they are significant enough to occupy your mental and emotional energy. Every message you send, every concession you make, every moment you circle back after they have pulled away, all of it feeds the system that keeps them feeling whole. And the crucial thing to understand is that they do not always consciously decide to use you this way. For many, it is an unconscious, deeply conditioned survival mechanism. It is the only way their psychological system has learned to regulate itself. They do not chase you because they do not need to. You are already chasing. The supply is already flowing. Now here is where it gets psychologically precise. When you stop chasing, when you go quiet, when you withdraw your energy, when you stop showing up emotionally available on demand, you have not simply created distance, you have cut the supply line. And for a system running on that supply, the withdrawal does not feel like inconvenience. It feels like destabilization. It feels, at the level of their ego structure, like threat. The result is not calm. The result is not indifference. The result is panic, disguised in 100 different ways, expressed through behaviors that will confuse you if you do not know what you are watching. Because narcissistic panic does not always look like panic. Sometimes it looks like sudden warmth. Sometimes it looks like a message that says they have been thinking about you, or they miss the way things were, or they know they have not been perfect. Sometimes it looks like an unexpected act of kindness, a gesture designed to re-engage your emotions and bring you back into proximity. Sometimes it looks like provocation, a remark calculated to make you angry, an action designed to force you to respond, because even your anger is contact. Even your fury is a form of supply. Even your hurt and outrage confirms that you still care enough to feel something. Any response is better than no response to a system that is running on fumes. This is why going completely silent is experienced by a narcissist not as your healing, but as an emergency. Because your silence does not just remove attention, it removes their sense of control. And control is not incidental to narcissistic personality structure. Control is central to it. The need to control the emotional reality of those around them is not a side effect of narcissism. It is the mechanism. When a narcissist controls your behavior, when they can predict that you will reach out, that you will apologize even when you have done nothing wrong, that you will come back, they maintain what psychologists call the illusion of dominance. Your predictable pursuit confirms their central operating belief, that they are exceptional enough and powerful enough to make someone work for them. Your chasing is not just supply, it is evidence. When you stop, you do not just remove the supply, you challenge the evidence. You force a confrontation with a narrative their entire ego structure is built upon. You make the implicit suddenly explicit. And what it says is this: you are not worth chasing. That sentence, even communicated only through your silence, lands in the narcissistic psyche with the force of an existential crisis. Because if they are not worth chasing, if you can walk away and stay walked away, then everything the ego has been constructed to believe becomes unstable. This is what psychologists call narcissistic injury. And narcissistic injury is not ordinary hurt feelings. It is a wound to the foundational architecture of how a person experiences themselves in relation to the world. It is a rupture in the self-concept that the ego cannot metabolize without either an external repair, which means getting you back, or an internal defensive response, which means devaluing you to neutralize the threat you now represent. This is why you will often see two simultaneous responses. On one hand, they will attempt to re-engage you, to restore the supply and re-establish control. On the other hand, they will tell anyone who will listen that you were never that important anyway, that you are the one with the problem, that they moved on before you even left. These two responses appear contradictory, but they are not. They are both expressions of the same underlying crisis. The hoovering is the ego's attempt to repair by recovering what was lost. The devaluation is the ego's attempt to repair by pretending the loss did not matter. Both are defense mechanisms against the same unbearable reality, that you chose yourself over them and they did not see it coming. The thing they fear most, the thing that sends the entire system into emergency mode, is not your anger, not your confrontation, not your pain. It is your peace. Your peace makes their manipulation irrelevant. It invalidates their power structure without you having to say a single word. It is a silent declaration that you have reclaimed sovereignty over your own emotional reality, and there is nothing in the narcissistic toolkit designed to handle that. Now, you may be wondering why it took so long to understand. Why did you chase in the first place? The answer is not weakness. It is not naivety. The answer is trauma bonding, and it is one of the most powerful and least understood psychological phenomena in human relationships. Trauma bonding does not form because someone is terrible to you all the time. If they were terrible all the time, you would leave easily. Trauma bonding forms because of alternating cycles of reward and withdrawal. Because of the unpredictable oscillation between warmth and coldness, between moments when they made you feel extraordinary and moments when they made you feel invisible. This intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological principle that makes gambling addictive, creates a neurological bond not based on consistent love or safety, but on the desperate pursuit of those moments of warmth, those hits of connection, those glimpses of the person you believed them to be. If you are watching this right now, something in you already knows this. Something already recognizes the pattern, already feels the dissonance between what was promised and what was delivered, already suspects that the confusion you carry is not your fault. It is a symptom of a system designed to keep you confused. And if you are just beginning to see this clearly, subscribe right now, because this understanding needs to be reinforced and deepened continuously. The healing of a trauma bond is not a single moment of realization. It is a process of sustained clarity, and that is exactly what this channel is built to provide. Subscribe now and come back every time you need to remember what you are beginning to understand in this moment. Because the moment you stop chasing, the trauma bond begins to lose its grip. Not immediately, not without pain, not without the overwhelming urge to reach back out one more time. That urge is not love, even though it feels like love. It is the neurological echo of the bond, the conditioned response of a nervous system trained to seek resolution in the very source of the wound. The body remembers the reward phase. The body wants to return to it, but the mind, once it is clear, knows that the reward was never reliable. It was always conditioned on your compliance, your availability, your willingness to make yourself smaller so that they could feel larger. At some level, the chasing was about you trying to prove something to yourself. Trying to prove that you are lovable enough, worthy enough, patient enough to earn consistent love from someone who was not capable of giving it consistently. Every time you went back, every time you tried again, you were not really trying to fix the relationship. You were trying to resolve an internal question about your own worth. And they, with their conditional validation and hot and cold dynamics, activated that old wound perfectly. This is not a flaw in you. This is a convergence of psychological patterns. Their need to be chased met your learned need to prove your worth. And those two patterns locked together in a way that felt like intensity, like passion, like depth, when what it actually was, at the structural level, was a mutual reinforcement of wounds. Understanding this is not about blame. It is about precision. It is about seeing the mechanism clearly so that you can choose differently, not out of anger, but out of knowledge. Let us talk about what hoovering looks like in precise behavioral terms, because it is important that you recognize it without romanticizing it. Hoovering is any behavior designed to reestablish contact and restore supply after you have withdrawn your attention. Sometimes it is as subtle as a comment on something you posted after weeks of silence. Sometimes it is a text referencing something only the two of you would know, designed to trigger nostalgia and create an emotional opening. Sometimes it is a crisis, a sudden emergency, a vulnerability that positions them as needing you because they know your empathy is one of the most reliable levers they have. Narcissists, not through deliberate planning in most cases, but through years of learned behavioral patterns, develop an acute understanding of what moves the people in their lives. They know your empathy points. They know what makes you feel guilty, responsible, and like walking away would make you a bad person. When you withdraw your supply, they deploy exactly the knowledge most likely to bring you back. The intimacy of the manipulation is not evidence of love. It is evidence of how carefully they studied you in order to maintain access to what you were providing them. When you hold the boundary, when you see the message and feel the pull and choose not to act on it, that moment is one of the most psychologically significant in the entire arc of recovery. It is the moment the pattern breaks. And what happens inside you in that moment, if you are not prepared for it, can feel like you are doing something wrong. It can feel like cruelty. This confusion between appropriate self-protection and cruelty is one of the most sophisticated byproducts of long-term involvement with a narcissistic person. Extended exposure to narcissistic dynamics compromises a person's ability to trust their own perceptions. Over months or years of being gaslit, of being told their feelings were an overreaction, of being positioned as the difficult one, a person gradually loses confidence in their own emotional read of situations. They start to defer to the narcissist's version of events, even when it does not align with what they experienced. And when they finally try to protect themselves, they carry all that doubt into the very act of self-protection. This is why the single most powerful act in the aftermath of a narcissistic relationship is not confrontation. It is not revenge. It is the sustained, committed choice to trust yourself, to return authority over your own perception, your own experience, your own emotional reality to the only person who was always actually there for it. That person is you. This is not arrogance. This is reclamation. From that foundation, boundaries stop feeling like aggression and start feeling like architecture. They become the structure within which you live as yourself, rather than as an extension of someone else's ego needs. The most powerful boundary is one that exists in your behavior, in the consistent, calm pattern of not accepting what is not acceptable, not engaging with what does not serve your dignity, not allowing access to those who have demonstrated they will use that access against you. You are allowed to be the primary object of your own care. You are allowed to treat your own emotional stability as something worth protecting. You are allowed to prioritize your peace over someone else's comfort with accessing you on their terms. This is not selfishness. This is basic psychological health, and it was likely the first thing the narcissistic dynamic asked you to surrender. Their panic at your absence reveals something critical about you. It reveals that you had more power in the dynamic than you were ever allowed to feel. The powerlessness was a constructed experience, a necessary illusion because a person who truly knows their power does not chase. And they needed you to chase. The entire emotional architecture of the dynamic was built to keep you in pursuit, to keep you doubting yourself enough to remain available. Because self-doubt is the fuel that keeps the chasing going. And chasing is what keeps the supply flowing. A person who knows their worth does not beg for consistency. A person who knows their worth does not apologize for existing. A person who knows their worth does not mistake someone's panic at losing them for evidence of love. They recognize it for what it is, a system in withdrawal, reaching for the substance it has lost, driven not by connection, but by need. Real love does not require your pursuit to remain present. Real love does not escalate in warmth the moment you distance yourself, only to cool again the moment you return. Real love is not intermittent. Bring your energy home. Every ounce of care you extended into a dynamic that used it, every moment of patience you offered to someone who leveraged it, every act of love you gave into a system that converted it into supply, bring all of that back and give it to the person who needed it most the entire time. Give it to yourself. The narcissist panics when you stop chasing, because your pursuit was the proof they needed that they mattered. But your peace says something else entirely. It says that their significance in your life is something you get to decide. It says that your energy is yours, not a resource available to anyone who knows how to trigger your insecurities. It says that the relationship between your worth and someone else's attention has been permanently and irreversibly severed. Hold on to this, because the next time the hoovering begins, the next time the sudden warmth appears after extended silence, you will remember that what is happening is not new love. It is not a changed person. It is a system trying to restore itself, and you will feel the pull. And beneath the pull, you will also feel something solid, something that was not there before, something that knows. That knowing is your power. That knowing is what they were always afraid you would find. That knowing is why they worked so hard to keep you in doubt, because doubt was the only thing standing between you and the moment you realized you never needed their validation to begin with. If this is landing somewhere deep inside you, subscribe right now. This channel exists to take you further into this clarity, further into yourself, further into the version of you that cannot be manipulated back into smallness. Subscribe because you deserve a continuous, unrelenting reminder of exactly who you are. You were never the one without power in this dynamic. You were always the one with the supply they could not produce themselves. And the day you stopped giving it, the day the silence began, was not the day you lost. That silence you are sitting in right now, do not mistake it for emptiness. It is the sound of your life becoming yours again.